for our listeners. Could you recommend 3 books for anyone that wants to learn more about creativity, or 3 books that you've particularly enjoyed and helped you determine your thought process around creativity?
Yeah, definitely. Number one is Free Play by Stephen Nachmanovich. It's probably one of my favorite books. That's the one I think that best displays that dichotomy between between repetition and exploration, which is how we learn skills. This balance between repetition and exploration. And he does it in the context of music. It's a wonderful book. I've just enjoyed reading it so much. And I think it put together a few pieces of ideas that I've been thinking about and read it at the perfect time. So everyone should read that, I think. I could give very long list of books to be fair. Another one that I think is good in this subject is Messy by Tim Hartford, which was brilliant for me at a time where I was getting in organizations and recognizing that I maybe thought slightly differently towards how they were going with things. And it loads and loads of examples within that book on how this messy, almost like explorative bumping it, you got to give yourself space to bump into things. And that's a really important part of development. And what we want really in terms of learning, again, going back to that balance, is this almost like slightly step by step progressive bit. And then we also want this allow yourself to go and mess and bump into things. And he's got loads of examples in there of like how great athletes have done that and great companies and how they allow space to bump into new ideas essentially. So this balance between structural progression and update, that's a great book for that. Probably the one of my favorite books that I read, this has sparked a lot of, I realized later in life, this sparked a lot of my interest in where I went with my life. It's about Bruce Lee. It's a biography on Bruce Lee. It's called Fighting Spirit. It's by Bruce Thomas, who was a guitarist. I've done you well with these recommendations.
I know I
There
don't
you
actually
go.
have Messy. For anyone watching on YouTube, you can see me putting up the books on screen. But if you're just listening, I've done that for Bruce Lee and I've done that for Free Play, but I've not read Messy. But it was you that introduced me to the Bruce Lee book. So I was hoping
Yeah,
you'd choose this
it's an
one.
amazing book because it's basically about it talks about mastery and how Bruce Lee approached it. But it's written by Bruce Thomas, who was a guitarist for Eric Clapton. So he was a master of the guitar. He's writing a book about Bruce Lee and how he approached martial arts from a perspective of mastery. And I first read it when I was like 14 on holiday. And I didn't realize until I reread it when I was like 28, 29, how much of my life had probably been influenced by ideas within that book and like thinkers that I'd come across much later in life that were mentioned in that book. They probably set me off as well on this, well, partly on sport and training, but also on philosophy. And one of the, I'm going to sneak another sort of book in here. One of the people he speaks about in there is Krishnamurti. And Krishnamurti's, if no one's sort of read in or heard any of his stuff, his whole thing was around like question everything all the time, make your own opinion up on everything. And you've got to face everything with that openness. I think I read that as like a somewhat rebellious 17-year-old, 16-year-old, maybe. The Krishnamurti stuff. Think on these things as one. Freedom from the known was the other. I didn't need that influence of that rebellious time of my life. Of like, basically, one of them starts off as don't listen to your teachers, don't listen to your parents. It's like his whole point is you have to face everything as it is in front of you. Keep open to that all the time. And that's it cycles back nicely to think some of the stuff we started off with on creativity. And if anything, maybe that's the perfect summary of it is to face everything in front of you exactly as it is and be open to exactly everything, all that it is. And if you are approaching things with a framework, understand it's just a framework and it's not the whole thing.